right on. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the I.M.N.O.G podcast. It's the OG crew of the day. It's B.N.O.G Marlon and Trip Sound as always, man. Today, y'all, we got a very special guest, a man that needs no introductions, but I give him one anyway. It's MKHULU. And MKHULU, we appreciate you for giving us this opportunity and making time for us. Just, start off, how you feeling? How was the day today?
The day was wonderful, very inspiring, and motivated, led, especially when you discover how great this land that we are on, the science that is behind, and hidden for a black majority who are ignorant of such things. So when they came up, it's a very good thing because it then affirms, how great Africa is. So I was very much happy for us to share that thing. And the energy that was in the house, very positive, healing. Yes.
Oh. No, it definitely was. We had the chance to come through today for a whole session. And we've been here a few times before and kind of caught a bit of the tail end of a couple. But yeah, man, the energy that's been here, I've been learning more about the season that we're in now, and that's playing a huge role in the energy that's being brought out and being able to dwell within us. And so we had a few questions, we want to get through and ask you about. And so the first one is, when did your interest in ancient Kemet begin?
It's a couple of over 20 years ago, when I was looking for the truth. I couldn't find in the Bible.
Okay.
The Bible for me always had answers, questions, that are not fully answered. So, and when you ask, they then discourage you and say, stop asking a lot. You are now questioning the Lord or something like that. So I then went further and then researched. And when we found Kemet, that is when the whole picture, starting, to emerge as to how great Africa is. Because Kemet just gave us a comprehensive picture.
Right.
You talk about science, you talk about spirituality, you talk about everything, that has to do with civilization. And what was very important for me was that civilization started here, in the south of the continent.
Yes.
This is the place of origins, our Zeptepi. So it's very empowering to know that it didn't start in the north, what we call Egypt now. It was refined there, but the origin is here, right in the south where we are. So it's very empowering, when you discover that, because it is the truth that has been hidden, for a long time.
Okay.
Yes.
No, I appreciate it. The next question we got is, when and where did the importance of sharing the teachings of Kemet with others and the future generations come from?
It was motivated by our teacher, the grandmaster, Ubabu Credo Mutu. He's the one who showed us the way, even though a lot of us couldn't understand him because a lot of us were trained in Western philosophy. Yeah. And he was articulating African philosophy. So there's a conflict, especially amongst the so-called scholars who have been taught by white people and elevate whiteness. Now, when you are confronted with the truth, instead of accepting it, you reject it. Just like now, they are rejecting the calendar in favor of the Bible. So these things, keep playing themselves out all the time.
Okay. Okay. So then, can you tell us when was the great empire of Kemet founded? When was this organization founded?
Like I said, the vision was given birth over 20 years ago.
Okay.
But in terms of, registering, we registered it much later. But the vision, was given birth to over 25 years ago.
Okay.
The sooner we realized that we had gathered enough information now, because it started with the foundation, the Zindzi Mandela Foundation, which was responsible for the research of all the content that we're teaching now.
Okay.
We then decided that we should then form or reintroduce what is called the Great Empire of Kemet. The Great Empire of Kemet, it's not a thumbsuck structure. It's a structure that once lived on the continent. This is the only time that Africa was united. Because the Great Empire of Kemet was formed by the various kingdoms of the continent. Here in the south, they call themselves Bonabakulu Basekemu, paying allegiance to the great brotherhood of Kemet, which is this great structure. So we thought that we shouldn't just come up with a structure, that would not have, life. Let us resuscitate something that was there before.
Right.
Something that united Africans. So because our objective as a foundation is to unite African people using all means necessary and all means that are and media that are available to conscientize our people so that we work towards uniting on the basis of our African spirituality, not on the basis of ego and the material things, because we've seen that it's not long lasting. So it is wise for us to be united or use the spiritual foundation as the basis, to launch, everything that we want. But we need to have this, forum, which is founded on the basis of our spirituality.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you a bit about the challenges of acquiring the research that you have over the last 25 plus years, right? Because I know, especially the Western world would love to withhold information like this, especially information that would empower the Black people, the African people, right? And so I wanted to know if you found that to be the case, and was it challenging to acquire knowledge, and then how did you all overcome that?
Yes, it was very difficult because the content is not in mainstream. It's a content that you will never find in universities. You have to go outside the Western structures for you to be able to access this content, which is why we felt the need that we need to bring down to the people, because it's not in the mainstream media. Everybody's working against it because they are pushing a lie that they are pushing. Now, when you bring the truth, it's going to bring their house down. So it's not something that you find in schools. And this is the content that should dominate our schooling system. But now, because of colonization, we still colonized. And our so-called leaders are still colonized because they've agreed to preside over theft. We call republics on the continent. So this is a major thing, because if you are pursuing this republic on the continent, it comes with own structures, the education system, the religious system, everything else. You have to adopt and come and impose it upon the majority of African people. So this is what we are dealing with that, slowly but surely, we are going to bring the system down.
Okay.
Because it is not supposed to be alive. Republics are, a symbol of theft. So this is what needs to be destroyed so that we are able to rebuild our tried and tested governing system, which is African royalty.
Okay. Okay. So then, would you go into what has been the mission and purpose of the organization?
The mission and purpose is unity. That's the first thing. We have to do everything, necessary to make sure that black people unite.
Okay.
And the second one is to reconnect those united people back to nature, because this is where our power lies. It's not all in these political nonsense things. It's not there.
Okay.
Once you are disconnected from nature, you've lost your power completely. So now we have to be able to conscientize people and actually give them the necessary content and information that will ignite their genetic memory. Because what we are saying, they know it, just that they forgot.
Okay.
Yes.
So you mentioned African royalty and the need to stay connected with nature and reconnect with nature. What does that system look like as the replacement of the current, governmental systems that's created by the West?
We're reviving or resuscitating the original structure before colonizers came to the continent. Africa was a thriving continent. And most of these Greek and Roman philosophers who came here made a statement that Africans are the happiest people in the world. Why? Because we lived in harmony with nature. We're bounded by a high moral value we call ma'at. Everything had to create balance, everything that we do, which is why we would never do something like as a ceremony. I can't just decide and thumbsuck a date for a ceremony. A date for a ceremony has to align with what happens, above. Then that thing, it creates resonance. So those are the things that we had to do.
Okay.
Yes.
Could you touch on Ma'at more and what that means?
Ma'at, it's the original principle of what is now being completely, misunderstood. Ubuntu.
Okay.
In isiZulu, we call it Ubuntu, meaning Guti. Everything is because I am, and I am because of that everything. You understand? Now, white people have just messed up this term, capitalizing it, monetarizing it, and just completely losing its essence. Why? Because it's no longer rooted.
Okay.
You can't use the Ma'at concept on top of a foreign structure, which structure doesn't resonate with nature, because what we call republics on the continent are completely against nature. Our governing system was led by people who had a divine right to rule, and why? We would see by their actions that no, this person is different. And on top of that is from that royal house. So we were clear about who our leaders are, because we had to maintain that harmony between, heaven and earth, so that there's a continuous resonance, there.
Okay.
Second is, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Make sure we done. I want to.
Yeah.
I get you done by 6, like you said. Yep.
If you can do it before, so that I could prepare.
Okay.
Before.
Yeah. Yeah, we can. I can get through this real quick. We good? Okay. So can you tell us about the significance of the opening prayer and the chant that's done here before the teachings begin, the message that and what it symbolizes?
For us, we recognize that each and every season of the 12 seasons of our calendar, there is a prevalence of certain energy. And by understanding the characteristics of that energy, it is then easier for you to align with that energy. Currently, we are ruled by a principle called Kemet.
Okay.
Kemet is that principle that represents combustion. It represents fire. Because Kemet principle is to purify, the energy of Earth, especially here on the southern hemisphere. Because now the sun is still in hibernation, but the reawakening happens on the 21st, of June. So when we do umpahla, we call it umpahla, these incantations, that we do, we are calling on the principles that are responsible for creating everything that lives on earth.
Okay.
The same principles, them in your periodic table as elements.
Right.
So these are the principles that sustains and creates life. They are fed by Ra, the sun, and the moon, which is the electric field and the magnetic field from the moon form. This is what is called electromagnetic field. So it gives birth to what we call the neterus, which then govern, certain aspects of our lives. So for us, we pay homage to those principles first, and this is a national umpahlo. At home, you can then go to the macro level, where you now calling the spirits of the home. But when we do a national umpahlo, we call those principles, those elements, your hydrogen, your nitrogen, your carbon, your whatever. These are the principles we are calling because they are all responsible for our creation.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Quickly, I wanted to ask the reason behind the organization meeting on Sundays. What?
Well, it wasn't planned that we were going to meet on Sunday. It just, became a day where everybody is available. And, in taking that decision, it helped because it gave people who don't believe in Christianity and the church that, okay, fine, at least there's a place where I can go and reconnect with, the energy of the sun and moon and my ancestors as well. When we hit the drum here, we all connect, so it really helped us to choose this day.
Okay.
And remember that this day, it doesn't exist. It was brought by white people. There's no day in the African calendar that is called Sunday because it's not there. White people hijacked this day. They put their Christian, belief and everything on this day. This day should be the first day of the week. In isiZulu, Saturday umgqibelo, we end the week as per our revolution around the sun. We end the cycle on Saturday, meaning Sunday is the first day of the week. So because we are still in this colonial mess, we won't be able to actually change those things. But with time, that's why we do the work that we do here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. No, I mean, I think we can wrap this up. It's been a privilege and an honor to be able to speak with you one-on-one and have this time. Love to be around more and perhaps have another opportunity to speak with you again, because there's still plenty to speak about and so much more for people to understand and learn, for most of us the first time, you know. So if you have a final word, a message you want to leave with us, then you can. If not, we'll wrap it up.
My final message is for all of us, African people, black people, to work towards uniting Africans, because this is the time for unity now. It's either we unite or we perpetually live this slave life we are living. So it's for the benefit of all of us, a collective, not to be selfish. Let us stop for a while of being selfish. Just do it for the collective and see, because the contribution of all of us, you know, if all of us were to work towards achieving this unity and we practicalize it, and then now we have a practical instrument that can assist in doing that, the calendar. When we all meet on the 23rd of September, welcoming the new year in the Southern Hemisphere, we do a pilgrimage to the holiest place on the continent, which is in Zaloelang. That is a practical way of practicalizing this, elusive unity that Kwame Nkrumah even, passed on without achieving.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Takozan.
Togoza.
Man, y'all, this been a wonderful episode. It's I.M.N.O.G podcast. We'll catch y'all on the next one. Trip, you can play us out.
Togoza. Sure.